We're okay to proceed now.
Start your horses. That actually is the David Mason gavel. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the City of Ojai Historic Preservation Commission. Today is Thursday, July 11th, 2024, and we started somewhere around 6 o'clock p.m. We're meeting here in the Ojai City Hall in the City Council chambers, the historic City Council chambers, which is a good spot for the Historic Preservation Commission to meet, I think. Let's see, public communications. Public communications is a time set aside during the Historic Preservation Commission meeting for members of the public to address the Historic Preservation Commission on items of city business.
Should we do the roll call first?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to get ahead of myself. Let's do the roll call, please. Sherry, would you call the roll, please?
Chair Akins,
He's here.
Vice Chair McHatton,
Here.
Commissioner Basasha,
Here.
Commissioner Sims,
Here.
Commissioner Walker.
Here.
Sweet. Okay, do we, roll call now? We did that?
Now the pledge.
Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd stand with me and face the flag, repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I was getting ready today for 2 meetings that started 30 minutes apart, and I made both of them by rushing. Okay. Public communications. Looks like that's next. Public communications is a time set aside during the Historic Preservation Commission meeting for members of the public to address the Historic Preservation Commission on items of city business other than scheduled agenda items. Matters raised at this time may be briefly discussed by the commission and will generally be referred to staff and or placed on a subsequent agenda. Under state law, other than for emergency items, no action can be taken at this meeting. So, Sherry, do we have any cards?
We don't have anyone online. The cards would be with Mara.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, any hands up? No hands because there's no one there. And Mara? No cards, sweet, okay. So, museum representative report. This is coming from Wendy Barker. First item is Summer Fantasia, which is this event. It's an event that's coming up on July 20th. It's a fundraiser, but a fabulous event we're putting on. This is the first time we've put this one on, and it's just going to be fantastic. Also, we have our current exhibit that's going on talking about agriculture in the Ojai Valley and whether our kids will ever see, well, our grandkids will see agriculture in the Ojai Valley because of so many different things that are taking place. This Sunday is our third town talk. It's our third of 3 talking about local ag. This one will have Emily Ayala of Friends Ranch, Juvenile Magana of Magana Labor Services, and B.D. Dalch of Earth Rain Farms, talking about labor and Ojai's place in the world market. Mark Lewis is moderating. That it will be from 4:30 to 6 o'clock p.m. Again, this Sunday, July 14th. It's free for members and just a few bucks for those that aren't. So that's the museum report. Again, if you haven't been to the museum to look at their ag exhibit, it's amazing, educational, insightful, little bit of controversy, but not as much as I thought might have. So just a great learning opportunity. I believe it runs until August 9th. Okay, consent items, which are the minutes of the June 13th, 2024 regular meeting. Do we have any? We're going to flip to item number 1. Do we have any changes
I do.
to the minutes? I do too, but
Just
yes.
one small one. It was under the discussion item 2, where it says Vice Chair recommended the commission to potentially consider the Hotel El Roblar for next year's awards. It was the Hotel El Roblar and the theater.
Oh, and theater?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, and what?
and the Ojai Theater.
Okay.
Theater?
I have a couple corrections.
Okay,
This is the candidates for the Historic Preservation Award. So one of them is listed as Connie Bickers, and she was my homeroom teacher for 2 years, so it's Biggers, Biggers.
Is this in the minutes?
It's in the item,
it's not in the minutes.
Okay, we're
Well,
just
it's not in
talking
the
about the minutes right now. I'm sorry.
okay, because she was talking about item 2.
Oh, no, she's
This
talking
is in
about,
item 2.
she's talking about the minutes, and
Right
in the
here, Rick.
minutes, item 2 in the minutes.
Okay,
So, we'll
Right
ju-
here in the
but we
minutes.
will get to that when we get to those items.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Because I noticed that too, that it was Bickers instead of
Okay, but
Bigger.
when we get to that item, right now, we'll just stick with the minutes.
Okay, well, it's in the minutes.
Oh, where is it in the minutes?
It's under discussion item 2, Commissioner Walker nominated Connie Bickers. It should be
Yes,
Biggers.
Thank you. Can you spell that for me?
Biggers.
Thank you.
thank you, Craig.
Got it. Was that what you were talking about, too?
Well,
Doesn't matter.
partially,
It's all
it's
good.
split, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Perfect, thank you. And in the minutes, Janice is spelled correctly. So I had a question when I was going through the minutes. This is item number 4, Structures of Merit, Ad Hoc Committee Report. I thought we took a vote. Last month.
It was the month before. we
It
took
was-
the-
Was it the month before?
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah, that was reflected in the minutes for,
for the
May.
previous meeting. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, any other adjustments than that one?
I move approval.
Oh, and 2, actually, with the Ojai Theater and Connie Biggers.
I'll second that.
Okay, Sherry, call the roll, please.
Akins,
Yes.
McHatton,
Yes.
Basasha,
Yes,
Sims,
Abstain, I
Wa-
wasn't here.
Walker,
Yes.
Did you say yes?
I also have to abstain, sorry, I wasn't here either. So,
Okay, we done? We get her done?
Okay.
Okay. Next up is then item number 2, the annual 2024 Historic Preservation Award. We will do a staff report, but as a part of your staff report, I have a question.
Okay.
So this was done at the last meeting with only 3 of us here.
Yes.
So in your staff report, can you address the question that I have? Are the other commissioners able to nominate people in this meeting and us moving forward? So as a part of your staff report, if you could just
Okay, well,
address that.
I believe they were given an opportunity, and they knew that we were going to be voting on this, or not voting on it, but they knew it was talked about at the meeting before that this was going to happen at the last meeting. And so they certainly had an opportunity to get us something. I can't see why, timing-wise, we can't. Sherry, I'm going to ask you about timing. If we look at, hold on just a sec. If we look at the future agendas,
I think we do have an extra month that
We do.
we started ahead.
so that means
For
August,
issues.
we could revisit this item August 8th, and I would give everybody a deadline to get me the biographies, and then we'll start this item over again. Because what happens is, we talk about the names in the meeting, and then we talk about who's going to write the biographies, and then the biographies get to me in order to get into the packet. For instance, tonight, everyone has an opportunity to read those biographies prior to the meeting, because of course the packet's supposed to get to you in advance, and then you take a vote. It would be tonight, so we could do that for the next meeting. And so I will give everybody a deadline to get me biographies. Yes.
Before we push it, do you, either of you have anyone to, additional?
Have you
I-
reviewed
Good
the?
question.
That is a good question. I might, but I actually didn't do any more research on it, but now that I have this extra time, I will, so
Okay.
possibly.
So if Commissioner Basasha then wants to consider that, Chair, if you'd like to, we can put this item on the next agenda.
Okay, I'm just going to my left. Lorraine, do you have anybody?
No, I thought and thought and thought. My husband thought and thought and thought. I didn't come up with anybody.
That's
Okay,
fine, and that's
I
fine.
know a lot of people.
you do, you
They're all
do.
dead.
It's a really, it's a
All right, and
really
that's
good
fine.
list right now.
It's a good
It-
list.
it is.
You have a good list.
Yeah.
So instead of reviewing these tonight, would you like to review them all at the same time?
I would, in the August meeting, that would be great.
Fantastic, then why don't you continue this item to
We need a
the-
name, though.
I'm
and
sorry,
their
Sherry?
Don't we need a name with their criteria and the commission to agree to add them to the list?
Oh, thank you, Sherry. Yes. What happened, for instance, what happened at the last meeting is that you all came with your name of person and the criteria under which they qualified, and then went and wrote the biographies to get to me for this meeting. And so if you have someone and we can talk about their criteria tonight, then we can do this. Thank you, Sherry.
All right, I have
Keeps me on track.
a further thought about this. So this person who I didn't thoroughly research is actually somewhat doubtful, and because Commissioner Sims doesn't have anybody, I think I would rather just shelve it. I mean,
It's your
for
prerogative.
simplicity's sake, because I may not, my research may yield that it's not a good enough candidate, and then we've just wasted all this time and effort.
And do you know, just to keep this conversation going, do you know what the criteria is to nominate someone?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
you've done this before.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're still not certain if they would qualify under that criteria? And
Yeah,
so-
or that
okay.
I would ultimately feel like they were really up to snuff on it, because
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, I did have a short conversation with them, but I just didn't flesh it out, so.
Okay. So that's your
Always-
prerogative, and we can keep it on the agenda for this evening and just move forward.
I would rather that we did that.
Great.
And next year we'll be here before you know it.
Yes, indeed.
Don't
I
push
can't
it.
believe we're doing this again already, because it felt like
I
we
know.
just did this.
Okay, so, Chair, it sounds like we're going to keep it on the agenda this evening.
Okay,
And so,
Go
would you like
for
a
it.
staff report?
staff report, please.
So at the June 13th meeting, the commission discussed potential nominees and selected candidates to consider as recipients for the Annual Historic Preservation Award or Lifetime Achievement Award. And this was based on specific criteria. So the recommendation this evening is to review and discuss the biographies that are in your packet, and to select nominees to receive the awards. And then what you'll do is you'll formally request staff in this meeting to draft resolutions or resolution for the commission to adopt and make a recommendation to city council for them to ratify your decision. And so on the second page of your staff report, there are 4 people listed. There's Tony Thatcher for Lifetime Achievement Award, Pat Tumamate for Annual Award, and Connie Biggers, and Janice Cash, and Janice is not spelled correctly. And then following that are the actual biographies. And so, assuming that you've all studied these thoroughly, you can now discuss them and decide who you'd like to move forward.
Good. And so Rick and Loran are not precluded from taking action at this meeting.
Absolutely, because they have had an opportunity to review these biographies to see if they indeed feel, I mean, there has to be a vote by the 5 of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just
Absolutely.
wanted to make sure they knew that they were still included.
Oh, for sure, okay.
I have a question, Chair Akins.
Yes, go right ahead.
So last year, we did it separately, and can we do it again this year where we did the lifetime and we vote on that, and then we do the yearly and then vote on that? So
Yeah, absolutely,
I
okay.
think that worked out well last year.
So, okay,
Sorry.
that's fine with me. Any other thoughts? Just do the lifetime vote separate from the annual award. Anybody have a disagreement with that? No, okay,
No.
great.
I have a question, though.
I have a correction on page 1 of 5. There is no T in Thatcher, as shown in the next line below it. There is a Thatcher in the valley, but not related, from the Bay Area. Okay, yes, Rick?
Well,
question?
my question is, just for the sake of argument, could we vote for all of the candidates? Or are there only so many who can get the award?
There can be one lifetime, and then there can be more than one.
There could be,
There can be.
potentially.
And I think last year there were,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think 4 altogether.
yeah. So you're not limited, just.
We got them through. Okay. What was I gonna say? Any other questions on this? So, the general layout, and Mara put it somewhere in the package, is that we will have this, then the final vote, eventually it will go to council, and I think that was in the October timeframe. It's laid out in Mara's. It will then generally, it's kind of customary that the award is given out in the first meeting of December, which is always fun if there's a vote that took place like the week before, and you have people changing seats. But that's when we've always given it out. And then I work with the people that are getting the awards, or the individuals who nominated them can work with them in getting them here at the proper meeting and in the proper place, which in the days of Libby Park and Libby Bowl changed 4 times one night. Just ask Alan Rain's relatives. So, fun. We love it. It's a good night for all. We get some pictures taken. So, any other questions on these nominations? Craig? Loren? Okay, so I guess then we could take a motion let's do the motion for the annual awards first. Is that okay, Vice Chair?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to do a Lifetime Achievement Award for Tony Thatcher.
Oh, okay. We're gonna go for the annual, for the
Oh.
lifetime.
I'll second it.
Okay. Sherry, roll call, please. Annual award for Tony Thatcher.
No,
McHatton,
Lifetime,
Lifetime award for Tony Thatcher.
McHatton,
yes.
Sasha,
Yes.
Akins,
Yes.
Sims,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Great, thank you all. Okay, now for the annual awards for the Preservation Award. Patrick Tumamite, Connie Biggers, and Janice Cash, Janis.
Right, although not Thatcher.
Not Thatcher.
Right.
Yes, he's the lifetime. Any questions on those nominations? Craig,
What's that?
any questions on those nominations?
No.
Nope. Rick?
No.
Gina, Loren? Okay, can we get a motion to approve those 3 individuals?
Or you might want to discuss and decide who you're going to choose, or all. But it's not, they're not all included here as a go for all. It's to discuss and decide, do you want all 3 or do
Okay,
you
so
want
then
1
are
or
we
2?
looking for individual nominations?
Well, you want to talk about it, like,
No, that's fine with me.
Okay, I'll start it with, I'll make a motion to approve Connie Biggers for a annual award. I enjoyed reading her bio, and the contributions that she's made to the cemetery is really important and would have been overlooked, I think, for a long time, and it's nice that's being looked after. I think that's really important.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think if I could comment on that,
Of course.
I think, do we have to second first? Because I'll second it.
Oh, I
She made a
for-
motion, yes, second, and then we can discuss.
It's just that not only does the work she do maintain the the cemetery, but it also generates public interest in the cemetery. And so I think it really helps to improve the work we do for historic preservation a lot. So I think she's very deserving. This is something she does every year, sometimes twice a year on both Veterans Day and Memorial Day. So I feel it's very much justified.
Commissioner Walker, were you seconding also?
Yes, seconded.
Okay.
Okay, Rick? Were you looking to say something? Oh, okay.
Roll call?
Well, let me just share something too. Lauren, did you have anything to add? Okay, so I know Connie Biggers, the other thing comes into the link with her married name on Biggers. Many of us may have seen Ripley's Believe It or Not with the man with the full beard of bees. That would have been her husband. And you can get you can also find, I know in the museum, but other places, the old honey cans, that they used to come with where you'd pry it up. So it was quite an industry that took place right there in Miners Oaks. And she has great stories to tell about it. I know because I work with her on hot dogs at one of our fundraisers at the Oakview Park and Resource Center. And I pump
I
her
love
for
all
every
these
story I can get.
backstories. They're so fun to find out these things.
They are. And again, the things that she's done for the Nordhoff Cemetery are amazing. So, Sherry, any other comments, questions? Sherry, roll call, please.
McHatton,
Yes.
Basasha,
Yes.
Akins,
Yes.
Sims,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Okay. Next up, let's go to Janice Cash. Do we have a nomination for Janice Cash?
I would nominate Janice Cash for the annual Historic Preservation Award, Janice, Janis.
Yep.
So
No, I
I'm,
looked it up. How about a second for Janice Cash?
I'll second that.
Okay, excellent.
I would like to say,
Go
I
right
would
ahead.
like her contact information, because I would love to start sharing some of her posts onto our Facebook page. So
Friend her on Facebook.
now I know the spelling of her name. So.
Yes, that's where I looked it up.
Okay.
I was pretty sure I knew it, but I looked it up this afternoon. So I was going to say, just along that line, so she was nominated last year, and I talked to her about that. And then I paid attention, I get her feed, and so get all of the information that she provides in depth from the valley as well as throughout Ventura County. And generally what I do is I highlight it, I copy that, I paste that into a document, and then give the credits for it, and then save that into archives that are for the Ojai Museum. It is always fascinating. It is always interesting. It makes the drive, for example, going down Point Magoo and looking at Point Magoo Rock. I think I've seen a couple different stories just talking about with pictures on what it used to be. So,
Yeah, I would like to think of ways to elevate her, because like I said, I've yet to see a post, because just don't seem to have the same contacts or
Janice
sites.
Cash.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, not just following her, but getting her more recognition. Maybe this award maybe can elevate her to having more of a presence and maybe through our Facebook page, but maybe through the museum as well. Just try to elevate these stories.
I did talk to her about, we talked about this last year, and so I did talk to her about reaching out to the Ojai Valley Museum. We had had something that took place to where the kind of the Ojai Valley history page that was on the museum's website had been limited, and so I was suggesting to her that there was a space where maybe she could fill that space for her, but I left it up to her to talking to the museum executive director. But yeah, I mean that was a fitting place for it to go. But
and would it be possible to share some of her posts on our website for the Historic Preservation Commission?
Yes, I mean, I feel like I do need to talk to the new city manager about it first, because I had an arrangement with James on how it's done, so I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, but yes.
I can tell you she lives on Poli Street. I know this because it's where a house was built where my wife's grandmother in a single wide trailer lived until she passed away.
Once again, all these backstories.
And where, and Connie grew up on the house just to the north of that. And so when I found that out, I was doing an address and I gave an address and it turned out, oh yeah, that's next door to me. I'm like, no way. So anyway, yeah, fabulous. So she is local. She is a Miners Motown person. Okay? Did we get our vote in? Yes. Okay.
Was there a vote on Janice
That's what I,
Cash? Did we just do that, Sherry?
Nope.
okay, so we did a nomination, we did a second.
Right.
Sherry, could you call the roll, please?
McHatton,
Yes.
Basasha,
Yes.
Akins.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Great. Okay, are we done with HBC awards?
No?
No.
It's up to
Pat
the five,
Tumamite.
Oh,
it's
sorry.
up to the
Yeah,
commissioners
my
if they would like to make a nomination
That's where we go.
for Pat Tumamate.
Yes, so let me talk about Patrick Tumamite. This is Julie's brother, Julie Tumamite Stensley, who was the tribal elder a couple years ago in order to have more time for her Ojai Valley community. She left from that responsibility and now has stayed almost just as busy working with other related groups throughout Ventura and Santa Barbara County, like the Red Hat, which is an event that she's done, I think, for a couple of years in a row to recognize the way that to the women that they've had so many issues with people going after them. I think that's what the Red Hat is all about. So I talked to Julie. She gave me information. I then did a Google search, found a nice article on Patrick, which I recorded and gave credit for. So Patrick is, as it says here, he is involved in many things. I've seen him. He and Julie were also involved in redoing the cultural language for the municipal code it was a multi-year project. And so they got that put in place and helps us in recognizing, if we were to find some instrument or some other item that would be sacred to the Chumash, how to properly handle that. So Patrick is also an observer where the Pearl, over on Pearl Street, where the Olive Mill House was. They ended up tearing that down, and then they graded that property. I was riding my bike by, and there were two observers that were there that were watching every bit of dirt that was turned over. So Patrick does that over a wide period. He also works together with archaeologists that are called to the scene to help them, to guide them, and to answer questions that they might have. So there's a whole was born in Miners Oaks, has grown up here, has family here, talks about that in here. And so when I was trying to come up with someone to think about, I thought of Julie, and then I thought, oh, how about her brother? He seems fitting because where Julie has been or where Julie is, Patrick's always close by, if not there at the same time. So that's why I nominated Patrick Tumamite and selected criteria 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I make a nomination for Patrick Tumamite for an annual preservation award.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Craig. Any other discussion?
No?
Okay, Sherry, call the roll, please.
McHatton,
Yes.
Basasha,
Yes.
Akins.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We will move over to item number 3.
So before we go there,
Of course.
you'll make a formal request to staff to prepare resolutions for commission adoption.
We should do that before we
Yes.
move on.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what she said, no.
I can do that.
Okay, so I need someone to make that motion, if they would, please.
I make a motion for a formal adoption of these 1 lifetime and 3 annual awards for the HPC.
And
Oh.
for that information to
And that-
then be relayed to the city.
Right.
Yeah, well, actually, we'll come back to you.
Oh,
That
yes.
you'll adopt the resolutions, and then they'll be forwarded to the city council.
Yes.
Them
Do
to
we have
ra-
a second? then?
I'm
I'll
sorry, to
second.
ratify your decision.
Okay, and Rick seconded
I will
that?
second.
Okay, as a matter of discussion, eventually, the language, Sherry, don't fail me now. Eventually, the language will be run through Sherry. She will put it in a package.
It'll be in the resolution.
Yes, there we go. And that way, when I read it from the speaker, then I'll know what to say. Won't have to make it up. Thank you, Sherry, for all your work over the years on that. Okay,
So now you'll take your vote?
okay, Sherry?
McHatton,
Yes.
Basasha,
Yes.
Akins,
Yes.
Sims,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
I was waiting for her to shake it up. Okay, thank you, Sherry. Thank you, everyone. Now, are we moving to number 3? Okay. Okay. This is for the proposed Ojai Civic Center Historic District. Staff report?
Yes, thank you, Chair and Commissioners. So on June 13th, our last meeting, the HPC had a discussion about votes required for City Council to adopt an historic district, as well as steps required to get a nomination of a district to council. Staff followed through on June 14th with a blind copied email to the HPC, concluding that the topic of silence versus quote-unquote no votes, people voting no, has been previously discussed and addressed. Staff forwarded an administrative report, which I've put out on the dais and also given everyone a copy of. In the email to you, I sent it as a link. And from a meeting of the Ojai City Council on January 10th in 2023 regarding the proposed downtown historic district. So it's here again for your information. So staff was further contacted by Commissioner Walker after the meeting and maintaining that the then proposed downtown historic district was recommended for council for adoption. It wasn't a nomination. And those are two different sections of the code when the commission recommends something versus someone nominating. So in addition to the staff report that I've provided for you, staff is concluding that the city council is the deciding body, and in the case of historic districts, the council shall not make a decision if a majority or more of the owners of parcels within the proposed district, the owners of each parcel having 1 vote per parcel with a maximum of 1 vote per ownership entity, file a written protest against creation of such a district. And so it's one and the same in the end, whether it's nominated or forwarded by or requested by the
Recommended.
recommended,
Nominated or
thank you.
recommended.
Recommended by the HPC. And so if there's further discussion about this, we should probably just do it offline because we keep bringing it back here. And so the reason I forwarded the staff report to you in an email and brought it here tonight is because, as I think I wrote someplace it may either an email or maybe even in my staff report, this is a real life example as opposed to just regurgitating what the code says over and over again. It's like, here's an actual situation. So we have the code written, and then we have an example.
Thank you.
So wanted to make sure I responded to that, and that's what was discussed at our last meeting regarding the proposed Ojai Civic Center Historic District. And so that's the part of my that's my staff report.
So it may have come up before, but this is making it really much more clear, so
Good.
thank you.
Excellent, I'm glad. And as you know, and Commissioner Walker, furthered after the meeting by sending me an email, you can always contact me with questions about anything HPC related, and I will do my best to get you an answer. Maybe not right at the moment, but I'll do my due diligence.
All right, thank you.
So, other than that, unless the commission has things to talk about regarding the proposed Ojai Civic Center Historic District, staff is finished with their presentation.
Okay.
I would like to say that Craig and I are working on a document that's similar to the one that's for the structures of merit, that is just a one-page information that is more up-to-date. A lot of when we did it previously, some of that information has changed. A lot of it has been updated. So we will hopefully, we're planning on having a draft to bring to the meeting next month that will have updated information for one sheet to go out to whoever wants to know about it.
So like
And it would be a good-
Q&A kind of
It's
thing.
also a good tool for when we talked about the different ad hocs with Loran and with Rick and with Brian, talking to people to have updated information, really clear and concise, so you understand everything, because you aren't going to be able to explain it unless you understand it yourself. And right now, it's a little outdated. Laws have changed. There's things that we hoped that would happen, like a state fund that was so brand new at the time that we wrote it, we didn't know anything, and it has been funded since then. And there's information that we'd like to just make sure that everybody knows, as well as our current landmark. That's a second document that I want to work on, is just making sure our current landmark owners know all the benefits that are available to them through programs through the city and the state and the federal government.
Okay. So the question has been a nomination or a recommendation before, and we've raised that question with Matt. I've reported on that question. So basically, and I'm looking at the form that was given to us by Matt to be filled out, nomination form. So,
I don't think we have any questions about that. Do you have any? I think we're all in agreement about that now. Understanding it.
just making sure, because Mara talked about the two different issues, but the guidance was that basically, whatever you call it, it's gonna go to the city council,
Exactly.
okay? And so I'm just making sure that
Yep.
that's what the form said, given to us by the legal,
We got it.
okay?
So I have nothing else to report for this month.
Okay, so what we'll see at the meeting next month is that we will see the one pager that's similar to the ones that we're gonna look at in just a minute for structures of merit.
Well, similar in style, not similar in.
Well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
similar in
Just
style.
mostly it's a one page that has bullets that explains what it means, but it's very different, obviously, because the structures
Well,
of merit's very
yeah,
different.
the language is.
It's just, I meant look-wise.
Yes, agreed. Okay. The other thing is to look at whether we need any more adjustments to the boundaries, to the Ojai Civic Center, our Ojai Civic Center Historic District. So we have boundaries that we have been working on for quite a while. And are we at a point to where those boundaries are fixed, or are we still looking at possibly any adjustments?
Can we push that to the August meeting as well?
Well, I'd just like to know at the August meeting what we're going to make a decision on what we're going to do going forward. I'm just asking now whether
Yeah, I mean,
My request now is that we have something at the August meeting that we can say,
Yes.
okay, this is what we're going for.
we will.
Okay, so, fixed boundaries. I will have looked through all of the information I have on all of the different people that I have contacted. I will determine where they were in that step, whether they were, there were different things. Some people who were just never contacted, partly because, for whatever reason, a lot of people that were contacted but didn't respond. There were people that were contacted, people that said no without my ever talking to them. And I felt like it was fair for me still to be able to go out and to talk with them so that they got the information that we were providing, and that will be updated with the document that Gina's putting together. The people who basically told me, who heard the presentation and then said no, after listening to that, the example I would use is the gentleman that owned the Chevron station. I finally got a hold of him. I think I joked that I bought a Diet Pepsi for like four mornings in a row because they're like, oh, he'll be in at 8:45 tomorrow. And, not wanting to stand around not do anything, I bought a Diet Pepsi. I finally got a hold of him. He had looked at every bit of information that I presented, which included the video with Barbara Bowman here and a lot of other supplemental information, and he was still a no. Plus, he was getting ready to sell the property. So if somebody told me a no early but they had listened, then, I didn't go back to haunt them.
But now you can go back.
I can, yes, because things have changed. Yeah, I did talk to them in person. So what I will do for that meeting is I will have identified the people that are still on our list that may have voted no without talking to us, and don't have the current information, and people that we weren't able to reach because, we have new commissioners that are on board, and even people that said no, but still hadn't listened to us. But
And there's a lot of new information.
yes, very much so. So, and new information and new commissioners since that time too.
Okay,
Okay, so that will be my what I'll have for that meeting next week.
perfect.
Or next month. Forward parcel owners who will contact. Yep. Anything else? No? Okay. Don't think we need a motion or anything. So let's move on to number 4. Do I need to open this for public comment?
Oh, yeah, you could open up number 3 for public comment.
Oh, okay.
We don't have anybody in the audience here. Sherry?
No one online.
Okay.
Excellent. Now we can move to number 4.
Okay, so I'm going to close public comments.
Oh.
I see you have, everybody covers for me in the minutes. And Brian closed the meeting. I'm like, ooh, nice. Okay, so item number 4, this is the Structures of Merit Ad Hoc Committee Report.
Yes.
And open the public hearing and a staff report.
Okay, thank
I
you,
have
Chair
Post-its that have every staff.
and Commissioners. So at the June 13th meeting, was a regularly scheduled meeting of the HPC. The Commission discussed taking this item to the Council with a recommendation of adoption and what these and what types of attachments would be included. These items were to be further discussed and determined at this meeting. And there is a Structures of Merit detailed one that's enhanced and detailed by Commissioner Walker for review. Would be forwarded to the council for adoption. And also there is I'm going to call it a Q&A by Vice Chair McHatton. That's also here. That's attachment C. And these are things for you to discuss and decide if indeed you want them to be attached to the staff report that will be prepared by staff. And before the meeting this evening, the chair requested a list of different people who did not want to, who previously said that they did not want to be considered as a structure of merit. And so what I provided to you and also put on the dais is a list that was previously included in your staff, in your packets in the past, because this one had a column that said yes, no, and because at that time we wanted to provide to you people that were requesting not to be. So there are a couple of them on this list, and that's for you. And then also, we received this month we received support. I don't have an address.
You're
It's
you're
just,
saying about the two letters that are in comments?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're online for people to find.
right. So I just wanted to share, though, here that we had one that was in support of the structures of merit and the efforts of the HPC. And we actually have two.
Yeah, I was going to say they
So-
both are.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that I let you know, just in case you haven't seen them, and they are online. And so now I'll open it up to you to,
I have
just
a
a
question.
second.
Do
Yeah,
do
just
we have a
second.
date yet to be on the city council?
Yeah, it's the second meeting, because the first meeting's canceled actually in August. I think that's August 27th. And so at this time, that is a tentative date.
So August 27th.
Okay.
So that means if Loran and I get together, we update the one sheet, or you call it the Q&A, and we bring it back to our meeting on the 9th, 10th, whatever the next, would it have enough time?
No, and so honestly, my thought is that there were items being provided by a certain date for this meeting for you all to discuss. So of course, if you have changes, then I'm assuming they're not going to be substantial, and they'll have to get to me by a date specific, and I'll let you know when that is.
It's not going to change in substance.
Content.
Yeah.
Okay, because I do not believe that there'll be time if you give it to me at the next meeting for then it to be into the next packet.
So if,
The next council pack.
Council
can you meet
packet.
tomorrow?
Sure,
Okay, and Monday? So then we'll have all the
Yeah.
weekend to do the update,
sure.
and then I can get it.
I have read this and have digested it, and it's excellent.
I have a few updates that or clarity, but I also, where is it?
Well, I wanted to move one, where can you find
Yeah,
out
you can do
more?
that. You can
Yeah,
put
we'll
that
talk, we'll talk
above.
about that
But
together.
also, if they're, since this packet is, out now, and we have the letter now, if there's not substantive, whatever the word is,
Yeah.
thank you, substantial. If you want to talk about them here in the meeting,
Substantive.
because that's what they're here for, is for you all to discuss and move forward. If there are small things that we can just talk about and do here now,
Yep.
we can do that. However, again, if they're not gonna be changing the basic content, then you can get it to me by a different date that we can discuss on the phone tomorrow.
Because our August meeting
I
is,
think it's the 27th? And
the
the
council's
August,
August meeting is 27th.
Yes.
We have a meeting before that.
yes, we do. However, I don't know that there's gonna be enough time to hand me a document on that day.
Yeah.
And I'm not prepared at this moment to give you a deadline to have information to me before city council. I would like to be able to do it tonight or talk tomorrow and give a date specific. And I also want to just reiterate before we finish this, that you're stating that the changes aren't going to be substantial. They're not going to change the basic content. It's just a little bit of grammar. Yeah, I like that word, grammar. So that's Planner Mac talking. So, and the same thing goes with the structures of merit list that was provided in the packet by Commissioner Walker.
I would like anybody's input tonight, but I would like the time to talk to Lurann. She was out of the country, to give her the opportunity to put this together with me.
Excellent.
So if we finalize this on the 8th of August, you're not sure that would be enough time to then turn it around and get it to the city council for their package? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not comfortable committing to that at this time, so, yeah.
I have a question about the draft, the Presbyterian Church.
That's not a draft. That is, well, I shouldn't say it's not a draft. This is not going to the council. Or Chair Akins wanted to know who have in the past given
Right.
us letters saying no.
Well, so the Presbyterian Church, number 8, didn't the gentleman who's the reverend there, or
Yes, they did.
didn't he come here and say, I don't want any part of this?
He did.
That's why it says-
This is just,
So that should be a no.
okay, thank you. And that's, I don't want to, I just wanted to give this to you for some information because Chair Akins wanted to know who said no in the past. I can't alter this particular, I don't want to alter this particular document at the moment. I don't think that's appropriate. But thanks for bringing that up. And so there's another no for you that's not
Okay,
on
so-
this list.
So if you see something, yeah, if you see something that you don't think's quite right, just reach out to Maura.
Yeah, well, and so we're not.
Because I know I do too. 'Cause
Yeah, we're not going to alter this document. This is just kind of for your information. But yeah, if there is another no, then
And
Chair Akins can know. But also, this doesn't have to do, Chair Akins wanting to know who had a no vote really isn't part of staff report to go to council. And nor is it part of the information or the documents that we're supposed to be discussing tonight for me to take forward to council, along with my staff report. And this is not going to council. So this isn't even really and I'm not stopping you. I just want to tell you that this isn't really a document to be discussed tonight. It's just some information for Chair Akins.
So the information, just because I'm still learning, that goes to the city council, will they know who has said no? Or is that the time that people have to come forward with a formal letter saying, no, thank you?
So the staff report hasn't been prepared yet, and then also reviewed by the attorney's office. I'm not ready for council at this time. I will be writing a staff report. It's called an administrative report when it goes to the council, and we're offering the HPC the opportunity to give us information to go along with my administrative report. And even though it's not legally required for this item, when it goes to the city council, we will be giving a courteous notice to everyone that we've been noticing all along, and they will have an opportunity to go to the city council meeting,
also,
whether in writing or in person.
when we did vote on it, we did put a stipulation that we wanted clarity from our council to, not our legal counsel, to let us know if churches were exempt.
If what was
Because
exempt, I'm sorry.
Churches?
Oh.
So I think that was the way we worded it, Craig, with the motion, was that it was the list as is, but we were still questioning whether or not churches should be included or not, and we were going to leave that up to the legal counsel to let us know, right?
Yes, I think what's said in the report that we wrote up was that the city attorney would have to weigh in on whether or not that just designating a property a structure of merit is the same thing that would allow for an objection of that kind.
I meant just churches specifically, because there was a couple of people who came forward with a document that said that churches might be exempt from something.
So that information will be going forward to council,
Okay.
and you'll have an opportunity to,
I'm just saying-
to see
I
that.
think that's
so-
the point for them too, because these people that came and spoke to us, they were addressing us as the people who were going to make the recommendations, and they might have said yes or no or whatever. But now it's in the second phase. We're recommending all these properties, and then it goes to the council. But in this report, we did put that there was this issue of whether or not religious organizations were exempt from designation.
Right, so what
And-
I'm saying is, that seemed to be a lot of the no's were religious organizations. So when the council is thinking about the structures of merit, they should have the information of whether churches are exempt anyway,
They will
because,
have that information,
They will
for
have-
sure, absolutely.
yeah, because if that's
course.
not, if they're not gonna be included anyway, then that has to weigh into their decision.
But they would make their decision based on what the city attorney
Right,
told
I just wanna
them,
make sure they have
not
that.
what these individuals said, but whether or not that is justified under the decisions of these courts.
That's why I just want to make sure that the city attorney knows too, that we're still have a question about that information. We
Yeah,
wanna make-
that's in this report that we
Yes.
wrote up, that's on the second page. A question has been raised about properties owned by religious groups. And so that is brought to their attention, at least from us. I don't know about the staff, but from us, that question is brought up because it was something that we were concerned about.
I believe the information, or the answer to that question will be concluded in this, and prior to the staff report, and then the information will be passed on to the city council in the staff report.
Thank you.
Right. So what we put together here was just a modified version of what came before the HPC, was starting out by giving them kind of the foundation and the city's general plan for why this process goes on, and telling them a little bit about the survey, which is the foundation for our selections originally for the structures of merit recommendations, and then the actual recommendations. And we do have this group of 35 that was on the original list that they've heard before, but we were recommending that we only do the 28, that we not do the 7 that are part of the downtown historic district, because there was some confusion about those two, and for now we decided to separate those out. And then we had a slideshow that had information about the various properties that are recommended, and then kind of an outline of different bullet points having to do with the historical narratives, the people that were connected with the building, and some of the stories and information that went along with those. And we combined those so as to give them all in one place. And then at the end, we just thought it would be important for them to know the criteria that we use for deciding whether a building is a historic resource or not. That basically all we're doing here is just giving the city the ability to recognize these buildings as historic when they do their planning decisions. And so there's a set of criteria that's used, and we wanted to have that criteria in our report, as well as the Secretary of the Interior standards, so people could see kind of what standards the properties are measured against. And I think that,
So Craig, are you gonna be presenting us the slideshow at the council meeting?
I hadn't planned on that. I don't think we need to do that. And then,
It's such a beautiful visual, if it was, you
well,
know.
I tried to take some of the pictures and put them in the report, so
But
they
still,
would see.
something about watching that slideshow, because everybody that was been showing up
Right.
got to see it in print, but when, it was very moving to see the continuity and the just the feeling of why, that I think that you get more with it.
Well, I'm willing to, but I would leave that up to the staff and the mayor, whoever
Yeah.
decides. And then we have the facts about structures of merit, which are based on questions that we've gotten. For example, people saying, is my property going to be reevaluated and will it prevent me from doing what I want with my property? And so we wanted to make those bullet points, which may in a couple of ways duplicate what you've done too, but I think yours lays out a broader picture. I think that was really well done. So anyway, my feeling was it would be important to get the whole commission to read it and make or not to even make suggestions, to either approve it or make, suggest changes.
And I'm ready to make a suggestion. So if you go to attachment B, and Mara, so this document, attachment B, was done by you, Craig?
Attachment B.
Attachment B? Great, excellent, excellent work, excellent information, thank you. Have you reviewed it?
This is we've seen this before, yes. I mean, maybe you made
Well,
it
this is-
prettier,
Yeah, this
but,
is moving towards the final version, so
yeah.
you've reviewed it?
Well, I've reviewed it like I've read it, but I am not going to be reviewing it for accuracy. This is something that's coming from the Historic Preservation Commission, just like when you send something out to the public. So if there's information here that, I mean, so when you say review, I've read it.
Okay,
I have not reviewed it for accuracy.
okay.
Yeah, I think this is our communication to the council, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Well, yeah, but I've been standing at that podium September 2022 when they asked the city manager and the legal counsel, have you reviewed this?
Okay.
And they said, no, we haven't. And eventually it worked out to where it was a and we had to put the disclaimer on the bottom that said this was a document that was presented by the Historic Preservation Commission, and the city has not reviewed it for it to go forward. So that's where I'm coming from, standing there at the podium going
Okay,
through
well,
this.
The HPC,
Whether you
the
need to review it or
HPC,
not.
right,
I
the
would-
HPC is making a recommendation that the city council adopt a proposed list of structures of merit.
Absolutely.
And staff is going to write an administrative report that sets out the facts about what structures of merit are,
Agreed.
and that the HPC, was in a joint meeting asked to, or allowed to, or invited to enhance their presentation.
I was there.
And here it is
Mm-hmm.
for their adoption.
Okay.
And so, and there'll be facts coming from the, right out of the structure, right out of the municipal code as to what structures of merit are, how they came to be, the criteria and such.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that will
I-
be, but that will be in an administrative report with information taken straight from the code. So whether Commissioner Walker's information is from his mouth or straight from the code, I don't know. I'm not evaluating his information.
Okay.
I've just read it,
Okay.
but I'm not evaluating it for accuracy, nor have I evaluated for accuracy Vice Chair McHatton's question and answer list or letter. Same thing with downtown, the previously called Downtown Historic District. I'm not reviewing those things for accuracy, and so I'm not sure if that answered your question or
Let me
not.
just finish.
Okay.
Okay, so, no, I agree with what you're saying. Again, I was at that podium. It was not a good night.
Okay.
Not at all. Yeah, probably the poorest treatment I've ever had by a city council. So not a good night. But again, that question arose. And so that question may arise. I mean, if I were the city council, I would ask staff if they've reviewed it.
So when it comes to
or not,
review,
and-
the structures of merit list is not something to be questioned for accuracy. That's kind of
Yeah,
different
I mean,
than.
the answer is this is a presentation by the HPC.
Right, and these are actual structures
Yeah.
with facts, like when it was built and who it was built by and who lived there and, who slept there and, whatever.
I'm
And
just-
so those are those kinds of questions, or those kinds of, that kind of information. And I don't think that kind of information personally, professionally and personally, that's not something that would be of question. It's, now, the additional information that's provided, whether or not that's accurate, again, the facts are gonna be from the code and in the administrative report, and that's gonna be made very clear to the city council. And then they're going to, have this public hearing with,
Okay.
people
With-
from the
with-
public,
With the people, yes.
either there or not, and supporting
Yep.
or not, and they're gonna make a determination.
Yep.
So, is that good? Does that help
Oh,
you?
yes, you've
Okay.
answered my question several times.
Because
Okay.
Again, having studied that and backstab is the word that comes to mind, but, so it's just a question, because if I were a city council, I'd ask you that question, and I'd ask you, can you tell me how many people have said no? And so that's why I asked for that information, because I like to be prepared.
And if that information needs to be provided, it will be provided.
Because the question is not whether there should be a structures of merit list, because that's already a fact,
No-
right? It's
nobody's-
in the
no-
law.
nobody's
The
asking
question
that.
is whether these properties qualify or should be recommended for the structures of merit list, because the code already contains the list. We're just putting properties into it, and they're approving them based on whatever.
Or they're not.
Or
They're
they're
either
not.
gonna
Or they're
adopt
not.
this proposed list or they're not.
Exactly.
My question's answered on that.
Can I ask a
Thank you.
question?
Yes.
Yes.
So the last question on my draft copy of the Ohio Structures of Merit, it says, what if you have more questions or concerns about the Structures of Merit list? Is that wording okay? Because I didn't want to put my information down, but I'm not asking you to answer these questions, but it seemed like it should go to you before it went to us. Is that,
So the only thing that I might suggest in that is if you have more questions or concerns about structures of merit, as opposed to structures of merit list, but either way, I don't think it matters, and I will confirm that it's okay to have my name on there. But I am the HPC liaison and the principal planner for the city of Ojai, so and
it
I'm
would
the
be-
one for people to contact when they have questions about the structures of merit. So,
right,
yeah.
but I'm not expecting you to answer them. I'm expecting you to forward them to us, because like you said, you haven't checked it you haven't researched it. And so,
Well, I have researched so much about structures of merit,
okay.
just not your questions and answers, to see if your answers to your questions are
match.
accurate.
Okay, so
And I'm
that's
not saying that they're not at all. I'm just saying I
okay.
haven't
I'm
reviewed
just
them
saying,
for
so
accuracy.
so that's okay, the wording.
Yes,
Okay,
if my name shouldn't be in here for any reason, I'll let you know.
okay.
But I think that it's
I
appropriate.
just know that
The thing
because
is, the
you're our
document.
liaison, everything kind of goes through you.
Exactly. The document is coming from the HPC, but people can't really contact the HPC. I mean, they can come to the meeting, of course, but other than that, it's not like they have every individual phone numbers. So that's why I'm thinking it's appropriate for my name to be there. I am the person to call when the public has questions.
Okay, I just wanted to not just assume.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
I-
I'm going to confirm that.
Okay, thank you.
So the other question I had was attachment B, page 2 of 22, down under the HPC recommends. So item number 3, if a property is not approved by the council at this time, it should stay on a potential structures of merit list to be reviewed further and recommended when any issues are resolved.
I'm sorry, what page are you on, Chair?
Page 2 of 22, attachment B.
Did I see,
Page 2, and it's number which?
It's the HPC recommends
Okay.
paragraph.
Okay.
Okay, item number 3, if a property is not approved by the council at this time, it should stay on a potential structures of merit list to be reviewed further and recommended when any issues are resolved. That would be us asking then the council why they did not approve that structures of merit,
So,
to be able to identify how we would hold it and then resolve the issue.
if a property is not approved by,
can I ask, who has 2 of 22? Because I have 2 of 21.
yeah, it's 2 of 21.
I'm sorry, 2 of 21.
Okay, good. I
Sorry,
thought you had
too
an
many
extra page
twos.
in there.
Well, I would think that this number 3 could potentially be not approved because a person who owns a structure or is responsible for the structure wrote such a strong argument that they shouldn't be included, that the council then would say no. So I don't know in that case if you would bring it back.
So-
That's my question.
So if the council doesn't adopt the list or doesn't adopt some of the list,
Yeah,
then
some
it's
of the
not, then
list.
it's not adopted. And it's just, if the HPC wants, then it's going to still be on a list that was at one time proposed. It's not going to disappear. We keep we keep everything forever. So it's going to be electronic and in a hard copy on a piece of paper that it was proposed and wasn't adopted.
And it
It's not
could
gonna-
be brought back.
If the HPC in the future wants to have another list and they want to go to council and council lets them
Or
put
the
it,
ownership of the property changed and the
They
new
get a new owner,
is-
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's,
So it's not going to disappear. And it's certainly anything is, the
So-
HPC has the opportunity to take things to the, proposals to the city council
Yeah,
in the future.
Like I said, it just seemed like there was an expected action to be taken when there's no basis for it.
Okay, and also, or not again, but this is something that was prepared by a member of the commission. It was by
Yes.
Commissioner
Okay, so
Walker, so,
going to item number 4, the next line down.
okay.
The HPC's ad hoc subcommittee will continue developing an HPC list of potential structures of merit for future recommendations. An ad hoc committee is not a standing committee. It is a committee that's put together with a certain purpose and a certain time frame, as opposed to a standing committee, which may go for a while. So to say that we're going to have an HPC ad hoc committee on structures of merit for,
Yeah, it should be saying just the Historic Preservation Commission will continue to develop,
Yeah, that would be fine,
yeah.
if that works. Because there are others, it's not that these are the only ones that could be recommended. Normally, like with landmarks, we've been recommending them over the last 30 years, one at a time. And this time, we just happen to have a group of them, but there will be others.
Well, in 50 years from now, houses that are built today could be on a structures of merit list, depending on who built it and who lived there. So it's always going to be,
There's always going to be.
it's a living
that's-
document.
That's
It's-
part of what we do. It's in
Right.
our,
So if there's going to be
I
any.
agree with all of that, but it says ad hoc, and ad hoc.
that's why I said
Ad hoc is a specified
So we're crossing out
duty
that,
and a specified time.
crossing out the
so-
words, the HPC Ad hoc Subcommittee, and we're replacing it with the Historic Preservation Commission.
And so if this,
just leave out ad hoc subcommittee and say the HPC will continue
Right.
developing.
Sounds great.
and so Commissioner Walker, this is your document, so if you would like that to be changed after this discussion, then please revise that page and.
Just revise that one, take those words out.
Right, and then send an electronic,
Okay, and then Loran had a typo on page 10 of 21, where
Okay, what-
under the Bill Baker's Bakery, the change since 2011, it's got a 1 under there. It should be none.
okay, and that's, again, your document, so go ahead and change that. And
I'll
those are two minor changes that, well, one is more minor than the other, but go ahead and make those changes and send me the document.
be
That'd be
what?
great.
okay.
This,
that should be none,
here,
right.
okay.
I'd just like to put my 2 cents in. After watching the Ojai City Council meeting this afternoon from 2 days ago, I really sense that if you, Craig, can put together a visual
He has the
That-
visual.
that you have, that if it's not too much to whatever you have to do, I think that it would keep the attention of the city council members in their moment, in their face, living, seeing,
Just gonna finish.
including the audience. And I think that is a very good sales.
Yeah, our liaison right now is the mayor. I wish she was
And
here to.
she, where is she?
She is not here because she is at the Ojai Unified School District hearing for the workforce housing.
But hopefully she'll watch this at some point and
Yeah,
know what
because
we
as I
want.
ran out of the, because I went to that meeting, I spoke, they allowed me to be the first speaker. spoke as myself and also someone who was running to do another commission in 10 minutes. So I spoke, and then I ran out the door, and the mayor was in the back.
So from an earlier conversation about the same subject, I've already got a note here to discuss this with the people that it needs to be discussed with regarding city council meeting, and whether or not it's desired to have a presentation or, you know, a PowerPoint that was presented to us once
I think it
before.
would be great. I could
And so,
revise that a little bit.
Make
and
it
put-
short.
So I'm gonna look into that, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
It really pulls at your heartstrings when you see these beautiful properties, and you've done such a beautiful job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I believe the structures of merit list. I'm hoping that when the council looks at it, if they choose not to include a property, it is because the owner has shown that it's no longer historic, that we don't know that yet because we haven't seen it or haven't got into it, but it's no longer historic, not because the owner doesn't want to necessarily be on that list, because what's hard, that's why I said it's nice about this structures of merit, it's such a low-hanging fruit. We're not asking a lot of property owners, and we're trying to give them benefit of the California Historical Building Code to be on, so they get something too. Because, like, let's say you bought a house that George Washington slept in, and you didn't want to be on a structures of merit list, it doesn't change the fact that George Washington slept there. It's still a resource to the city of Ojai, and it's our job as the Historic Preservation Commission is to let the city know it's a resource and it's important. So that's why, you know, you try to figure out a way to compromise and to work with the property owner and to try and come to some sort of, you know, understanding with them and with the city council. So I'm hoping that it's not just, I don't wanna, it's more, you know, substantial of this has happened to the property and it's no
Well,
longer historic.
And also, even the state law, CEQA, wants local agencies to identify their historic properties for the purpose of their own laws. And
Right, I mean, we're
and
just doing
so
our
if
job.
that's what we do, we identify them, and the city recognizes them as a historic resource. That's just a factual thing. It's like,
Right, and that's, but we don't want to put any burden on the property owner, and I think that is where we lack. I was just talking, I feel like our education and taking down our curtain of what we do here and really reaching out and really explaining what would happen if you were structures of merit, not, I feel like there's a lot of misinformation about it because there really is, we're not asking a lot. We're asking that the city of Ojai just, we're letting them know that it's a resource and that it's recognized, so it's not demolished without a discussion, without a mitigation, without something that's happening that we understand why it's not on a list. So hopefully they'll,
and it
it'll all
doesn't
work out.
require the owner to do anything. It just requires that the city consider its historic value when it's making a decision about the future use. And so it's written right into the code. I hope that's brought up by the staff, that it won't cost them anything. There's no fee associated with it. It's limited to a very short time. It's an expedited review, and there's all kinds of things built in to help the owner who just wants to maybe change the paint color or
yeah.
wants to expand the porch a few feet. It's not meant for them. It's meant for the person that wants to demolish it or wants to significantly alter it.
Well, so many, you know, cities or areas have used this historic preservation to try to keep building out, you know, to keep low-income housing or however you want to call it out of the city. And I think from something I heard or read the other day, having this list and having all this is going to be a requirement for us to protect those pieces of property and be able to say, no, we're not just saying this because we don't want this here. We're saying this because this is truly a structure or a district that matters.
Right, and within that, we don't want a building to just be especially in the downtown, be sitting there doing nothing in some sort of a, frozen in time. It's just like the meeting tonight about staff housing at the landmark. I mean, that's what we want to see. We want to see it being reused. We want to see rehabilitation. We want to, our job is to identify resources and try to keep and I think everybody wants the charm of Ojai to remain. Well, just like with Craig's book on architects, I mean, the amount of prominent architects that have somehow magically built up something here is just phenomenal. We're such a tiny little community to have so many prominent architects. So I think that everybody should have a copy of your book too, Craig.
Okay, so one other question I had or request is line number 9, Crotona Institute of Theosophy. And I tried to, it's
Page 9?
page 6 of 21, attachment B. Crotona 3, Stacy Judd Buildings. And I tried to get this narrowed down, but Crotona is a massive, I go up their hills to get more climbing on my bike. I've ridden through all of the facility. It is extensive. We're talking about Crotona, but we're not identifying specific buildings like I wanted to
Yes, we are.
identify the initial one.
They are,
Are we going with the front building?
well, we have it right here, the library, the administration building, and the water tower garage.
Where's that?
That's the last sentence on the Crotona.
Last sentence of number 7.
Where's number 7?
Right underneath.
On the bottom line.
Oh, yeah.
Because these are the ones that were designed by the famous architect when they first were established in
Oh,
1924.
okay. The 3 buildings by Stacy Judd?
Mhm.
Okay. Sweet.
Is that something that the owners,
Water tower garage is in pretty bad shape. I can tell you it's the high point of the property.
but when I remember the Crotona people wanting to understand, they thought it was every building. Do they understand now that it's only those 3 buildings?
Not
Well-
sure how they would.
That's what we talked about when we actually did the recommendation two meetings ago. We said it would be those 3 buildings.
Great.
But I mean, if that's a concern of the Crotona people, is there a way you can contact them just so they understand that we're not, because if we weren't sure about it, they probably aren't sure about it either.
Well, I think they were just claiming an exemption because of this court case.
Right,
So I
but-
think that's one for the city attorney.
right. It's just, it would be nice if they did understand that it was just those 3 buildings and not the
Because
entire thing.
what is difficult for me to understand, maybe the city attorney can answer it, is that CEQA requires that historic buildings be reviewed. And the way we decide whether a building is historic is by putting them on our structures of merit list. So I asked whether or not the religious groups were exempt from CEQA, and the answer was no. So if they have to be reviewed, then they have to be identified as one of your historic buildings. So that's a question for the city attorney. I won't make you answer it.
Well, Mara actually put out information to us that was a court case that talked about that. And talking about whether say you're talking about a church, whether that building was actually still being used as a church, then they may have an argument. If it wasn't being used as a church anymore, that they didn't have an argument to support that. So there was a court case that,
So the
Well,
staff
Mark
report
provided.
going forward with, or the administrative report going forward with the HPC's recommendation that the council adopt this structures of merit list, will have information about any exemptions.
okay,
Okay.
excellent. Okay,
That will be reviewed by our legal department.
okay.
I just want to make sure the Crotona people, if they show up the night of the city council meeting to talk, it's regarding maybe the church exemption and not the fact that they are still under the impression that we're trying to do something to an entire property, because that could get them fired up for no reason.
Yeah.
And then hopefully,
So,
is there a way to get out at least my one sheet to email to people on the structures of merit list, so they have the most up-to-date information that's coming, from the HPC, not approved, and, all that disclaimer.
I'm sorry, is there, ask the question again,
Well,
please? Do
the
you want
sheet-
your question and answer list to go out ASAP? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
Okay, well, get the language cleaned up. Whether it goes out in the mail to people in the community has nothing to do with it going to the city council with this staff report. This was just an opportunity to send out what it is that you want. So, or to include what you want at the city council meeting. So the HPC can send out information.
Okay.
What
Good.
I'm going to do with your information before it gets sent out is I'm going to have to put the disclaimer on it, and which would happen before it went to city council anyway. But the disclaimer needs to go on it, and then the method in which it gets sent out, I'll talk to you about outside of the meeting. That's not necessary here.
So does does need to be an action item for our next meeting on August 9th to have the full commission agree that this document should be sent out to, or,
I think the commission can do that tonight, because if you've already said that there are going to be a couple of grammatical revisions to the document, and if the content is going to be the same and the commission has reviewed it, then
we can make a motion
and
approve it
to approve it now with the
with
the understanding that there are going to be minor, major content revisions, and then you'll forward it to me, and I'll put our disclaimer on it, and then we'll talk about how it gets sent out. How does that feel?
I would so move that we adopt these documents that we've talked about with the minor
and you're
changes.
not and it's not an adoption. It's more, you're ready for it to be sent out. You're comfortable with
So
this document,
Yeah.
and you're also comfortable with this this list, proposed list of SOMs, with those two minor alterations to go into the administrative report to the city council.
Yeah.
So you could say tonight that you're good with that, and then you could also say that with these minor changes, you're good with the letter, and then we can send it out.
I so move.
So we had a motion.
Is that, you make a
Second.
motion? I'll make a second, yeah. Or, did you make a second? Okay. Okay.
And so
then I-
these documents are in our packet tonight, and they're on the website because they're in our packet, and the packet is on the website. And there are minor, non-substantial corrections or editorials that are going to be made, and then we're going to send it out to the public. The list, the question and answer.
When do you think you'll have an answer from Matt, from Mr. Summers, about
what?
the church
That's going to be
business.
in the staff report that goes to the city council.
So we won't have that in advance?
You know what? I come to these meetings with all this information in my head, and then once I've moved on, I've moved on.
I like that approach.
I remember sitting here, though, with a representative from the attorney's office, and I think that the answer was made clear whether or not they're exempt, and whether it was or so anyway, but it will be clear going to the city council. And
Because it would be nice to be able to, if we had an indication that these can be included, which I believe they can from what I've researched, to be able to then talk to, say, the people at Crotona, to call Mr. Prasad and say, could we have a conversation?
well,
Before
but
the
whether or
city
not they
council
can be,
gets
whether or
this.
not they can be exempt. I mean, because even if they can, they may want to be a
Right.
structure of merit, and so you can still have those conversations with people, and you know, whether or not they can be exempt or not, you can still have that conversation. Anyway, it'll be in the staff report for sure, and that has to be prepared, you know, a certain amount of time before the city council meeting. I can't give you a date certain right now.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that that information was sent out to Elena Doval Santos, who appeared at several of our meetings along with Mr. Jim V, I'm going to put it. That's listed in the package.
I can also look at.
So I think
back at
that
this-
information was sent out to her explaining the religious.
Okay, I can also
question
look
they had.
back at the minutes from the meeting when we had an attorney here
Mhm.
and see what was clarified at that meeting. And and then I can report back via email.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
See if I can describe this correctly. So is it going to be pretty clear to the city council, because I didn't even realize this before, that I thought that the sites of merit was like, I know it's a package, but I thought it had to be voted on as a package, not as they could, for example, potentially take out the properties that where the people don't want to be on it. Isn't that correct?
Mhm.
Correct.
Correct. So I'm just hoping that this is going to be clear to the city council.
The city council's options are going to be crystal clear.
Okay, good.
You can do this,
That-
this, or this, or
And
this.
that, and
It's
that
gonna
can
be
work,
very clear.
and that can work both ways.
Don't you worry.
Okay, then. Thank you.
I would like to say that Lorianne and I spoke to Matt Summers for quite some time at the event for the commissioners, and he said that he would like to be present in person at one of our meetings soon.
Excellent.
Just
He knows when they are.
okay, just letting you know.
What was that?
That Matt Summers said that he wanted to come to one of our meetings
Okay.
soon.
Yes, we replayed the invitations before to the legal counsel.
So do we need to vote on that?
So what action do we need to decide upon today, tomorrow?
Well, there's a motion on the floor, isn't there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. What was repeat your motion? Oh,
The motion was to approve the communication that was going to go to the council from this group,
with the minor,
With the-
with the minor corrections.
the minor
word-
alterations.
Yes, there were 2 corrections in the SOM list that was prepared by Commissioner Walker, and
There was that line crossed out
The
about,
line about the
ad
ad hoc
hocs.
committee.
right. And if there are any changes to the question and answer sheet prepared by Vice Chair McHatton, they're not going to be substantive, so whatever that word is. They're going to be minor, and they're going to be provided to staff, and we're going to talk tomorrow about what that date is.
and if possible, that Mr. Walker have a small presentation.
Yeah, I'll wait till hear from you.
That would be great. Okay, anything else? We need to vote on that motion, that second?
Yes.
Okay, Sherry?
McHatton,
Yes.
Sasha,
Yes.
Akins,
Yes.
Sims,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Excellent.
Do we need another action item to have permission from the commission to send the question and answers to the,
Just send the one sheet to the,
structures of merit property owners?
what would be the timing on that? Do we want to get it out closer to the meeting? Or
Yeah,
do we
so-
want to get it out sooner now?
Probably closer to the meeting, but, so we can always talk about it at our next meeting and approve it then.
Because the next meeting, August 9th or 8th, somewhere in there. It's right in here, July, August 8th.
I just want everyone showing up to the meeting with the most accurate, up-to-date information and any questions they have answered. And so,
So since we're not going to send it out until after that date, then let's just make that motion and,
Well, that's,
and send it out.
so it's the 9th to the 27th. So that
That's
gives
18
them
days.
ample time to read it and contact Maura if they have more questions.
Yeah, and not throw it over their shoulders because it's, 2 months ahead like I would.
Yeah, so that's efficient.
I would think.
Okay.
Yeah, if it was longer to me, I'm like a deadline guy, like over the shoulder in the trash can and pet the dog. So, yeah, if that works.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have that as a line, as a action item for the August meeting,
Perfect.
okay? Okay, thank you all. Next thing is item number 5,
So item number 5,
future agenda items.
and, oh,
Wait till we get to commissioner reports or comments. Yes.
so in August, at the August 8th meeting, oh, here it is, August 8th, we're going to be adopting, I'm going to be providing you, or have provided to you, resolution for the nominees that you did tonight
Yes.
for the annual award and the Lifetime Achievement Award. And we have the Ojai Civic Center Historic District and Structures of Merit on the agenda. And with that Structures of Merit, we're specifically going to be reviewing Vice Chair McHatton's Q&A.
And if Craig Walker does get approval for a short presentation, maybe we could see it.
If I have it done.
Well, let me know if you need help.
So that's what we have going in August. And then in September, you're going to be discussing Ojai Day. It's coming around already.
Yes.
And, if we don't have to look past September at this moment, that would be nice.
I have a question. At the council meeting, when they were talking about their budget, they asked for recommendations on their annual budget. But then they discussed a special fund that they had that they were going to decide how to spend that was left over from the pandemic, where there was I think $4 million, and we're going to be asking for recommendations on that. And I was wondering if we shouldn't consider whether we might have some recommendations
I think that it would be appropriate to go to the council meeting and make your recommendations.
just directly, not as a HPC.
So, and Gina knows about this. The original amount that they gave us was essentially the same amount that we got last year. And so Gina and I had talked about that, and she had talked to
Councilman Rule.
Councilmember Rule. And then in the next council meeting, when they were talking about the budget, Councilmember Rule made the case for us to go to the $20,000, which had the $10,000 for the upgrade on the item, and then $5,000 for the
7,500 for the
7,500 for
nomination,
the-
and then like 2,500 for education. I think that's what
Yep.
it was.
And so when I got to public comments, or when they got to comments, then I reminded them, Councilmember Rule wasn't exactly sure of what the numbers were and what they were. So then I shared that with them, and then in the next iteration of the budget, it had $20,000 in it, which is what we had asked this time. And so I thank them for that, for raising that amount. As you said, there seems to be some pockets, that's where we used to hide our profits.
I think what Craig and I talked about at our ad hoc for the Downtown Historic District is we're just talking about, there have been properties that have come to our attention that were interested in becoming landmarks, but couldn't afford it. And so that's why we were thinking about putting in a request for like a fund for a resource, like there's a resource that of a house that wants to be landmarked that maybe needs a little help financially. We would request maybe part of that 4 million, just a small amount for properties that want to landmark but can't feasibly do it. So that was what we were talking.
And there was also a historic report I was reading through today where the consultant said that one of their recommendations was a mitigation on the part of the developer where they would pay a certain amount into a historic preservation fund so that they would be granted some change or alteration, but that they would give to a fund that would be used to further historic preservation, which could be helping to fund HRRs or the fees associated with landmarking or Mills Act. I mean, that just made sense to me. We did have a program when I was on the commission before where we did a HRR on 2 properties a year, and we haven't done that for a while, but that might, a fund like that might be something that could help pay for those kind of things and staff time and so forth that would go along with that. It would make it a lot easier because it's just sad if there's people out there with historic homes that would like to landmark them, but the expense is just so much that it's difficult for them. I mean, the ones that you have that are like that, we have a lot of buildings that were landmarked because the owner initiated it, but they were usually people that live in expensive homes who paid to have all that done. But it would be nice to have a fund for the people that are more middle class that would like to get their properties landmarked and take advantage of the Mills Act.
Well,
Yeah, I mean-
and to the point, I think it was about 4 meetings ago, Commissioner Walker and I reported that we had been discussing this very matter with a potential landmark candidate who we had actually been talking to years before. And indeed, the problem for them was coming up with just the money to do it. They just don't have that money, but they want to do the landmarking. So, to the point.
Right, and that's something that if we had a fund, and it is really good for mitigation too, to have that amount of money go back into the city somehow to where you might lose this resource, but you're gonna save this resource that they wouldn't, and then once that house is landmarked, the money that, being middle class and in the city of Ojai, everything is very expensive. So to be able to have those benefits of Mills Act, be able to take property taxes that you're gonna pay for anyway, and to be able to redirect it to fixing your home, fixing your historic home, everyone wins. So it just seems like that's something that maybe we should show up to a council meeting and get up and talk, take our 3 minutes and suggest that that's just in someone's head, that might be a good way to spend a very small amount of the money, but it can make a big difference to the city and to the homeowners.
Yeah, so what Craig's talking about, the 5,000, the 5,000 was a part of the budget request that we had put forth before, so that we had that fund, because we usually plan on doing a couple of them per year.
Right, but then we stopped doing that. We started at the same time as COVID, and then the downtown historic district, so we kind of
And life stopped,
right.
yes.
There were some of them we did that weren't even at the request of.
Can't hear you.
There were some that weren't at the request of the owner. They were just ones that because our charge is to investigate properties that we feel could be historic resources. So to have some funds that we could use for historic reports, and then when it comes out how historic that building is, I think that happened with the theater. We did a historic report, the commission did on the theater, and then that led to the theater becoming a landmark.
And even if it necessarily doesn't become a landmark right away,
Right.
it also, when we were doing the downtown historic district, trying to figure out what had an HRR done on it, it was so nice to see that there were so many buildings that had HRRs done. And so I think it's a benefit to the property owner to have that, because then you have that information for the future.
Right.
Even if you want to sell their property, you have that information to give to your realtor saying, this has been done, my property is a resource to the city of Ojai, and this is why it's special.
I'm pretty sure that Khaled paid for the historic resources report for the theater. It was a landmark before David Berger bought it. I remember meeting with him before he was purchasing it.
What were the two? We did the school district offices.
Well,
and-
yeah, because we told them we were going to do it.
But then we also did, I'm pretty sure, the theater.
Seemed like there was,
Because Khaled he wasn't all that sold on it, but then once he was in his lawsuit and he realized that being historic was helping him to win his lawsuit because the judge wanted him to be able to preserve that historic theater, then I think he decided that it was a good idea. It worked out really well.
yeah, it did. No, great thoughts.
So on this list, we have a pending council meeting and a pending chair and vice chair selections. Do we have an idea, any dates on those yet?
I
When we
don't.
get to commissioner comments, we'll have a better idea.
Commissioner comments. Oh, good, okay.
So
And thank
we
you for
don't,
adding
is
that.
what you're asking is when is that meeting they're gonna talk about that 4 million or take the input?
The
No, I
what?
think Vice Chair was just asking if there were dates for a joint meeting with
Oh,
City
joint
Council
meeting.
and also
On the bottom
Vice
of.
Chair selections. It had nothing to do with your item,
Oh.
your discussion
But
regarding
I
the
think I
4
just
million.
wanted to close
and
that
that's-
because on that
right.
question of you said, well, just go to the meeting
Right,
and
that's-
ask for it.
That's something, if you want to talk about City Council's budget, you need to go to the City Council meeting.
Okay, do we know when they're gonna be discussing that 4 million?
I don't at this
Oh,
time.
Okay.
I don't either, because they've pretty much wrapped up the budget discussions.
Not the budget, it was this.
It was the
extra-
unallocated
It was
funds
this
that,
other fund they had.
yeah.
It wasn't the
So-
budget.
Right, but when they're talking about budget, they're just not talking about what's in the budget, they're talking about the whole amount of funds that have. And,
Right, but they said they were going to discuss it at a future meeting and take input on how they should spend that money.
makes sense, okay?
So their next meeting is the second meeting in August,
27th in August.
because they've gone, I guess it's called going
They're
dark,
going dark, yeah.
right, for 2 meetings, the second meeting in July, first meeting in August. So that's an opportunity, and then also.
We'll be there
contact-
anyway.
Then, yes, you will. And then, if not, then, you can contact Weston, perhaps regarding the city council's calendar.
Okay.
Please contact Weston on what?
City council's calendar?
For our meeting with them?
No, for.
For the discussion on that $4 million.
Yeah, Commissioner Walker is really concerned about the $4 million, and if he wants to know when it's going to be on the council agenda, he might be able to find out some tentative date by calling Weston.
Oh, okay,
Because
okay.
if everyone else is gonna have their hands out, we should too, right?
Oh, there's so many hands.
Exactly.
Okay, so right now, we're penciling in a joint meeting with the council on the August 27th. No?
A joint meeting? That's not, no, I'm giving them a presentation on the proposed structures of merit on
Okay.
August 27th. I do not have a tentative date. However,
I thought you asked about a tentative date, and it
So-
was the 27th.
All right.
Okay.
I was thanking her for including this at the bottom, that says, that has pending.
Yeah.
I had noticed that on the planning, and I asked if it could be on ours as well, and I was
That's-
just,
and historically,
Why I asked, yes.
February comes to mind. However, I do not have a tentative date for you
Okay,
at
so
this
we
time.
don't, okay, that's good. Okay,
So we could go to,
looking to get us out of here, so I can go back over to this.
planning report?
Yes,
Okay, so I have a couple of things that I wanted to talk about,
Okay.
and they're real quick. And one is the California Historic Preservation Foundation. There are 4 events currently, and I think I've heard back from 2 commissioners, one very specifically interested in one of the events, and another commissioner just saying, sounds great. There are 4 different events, 4 different dates, and there's Protecting Visual Storytelling, which has to do with murals. That's July 18th, and if somebody wants to attend that, please email me tomorrow, no later. Okay, and I'll sign you up. And then on July 25th, there's architecture, plan books, and small houses movement, preserving small houses from the 20s. And I heard from Commissioner Sims that she would like to attend that. And when attend, it's all virtual, but I will sign you up for that. If anybody else wants to attend that, and I sent this out, I just wanted to bring it up again tonight. Please let me know ASAP so I can get you signed up. And if you could let me know by the end of this week, that would be great, just so I can get it done.
So the mural thing is also virtual?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
I just wanted you to know, I did contact the California Preservation Foundation, and I talked to the field director, and I told him that I was the education liaison, and that could I have all of the emails? Because I was getting ones that, because I was a member before, I was getting like the general ones, but I wasn't getting the member-only ones. And so he updated me, so I'm now in the loop too, so hopefully
excellent.
hopefully you
Okay,
won't
so
be
then-
the only one
So
worrying
then
about
we
that.
can communicate more, and
Yes.
or if something comes up and I don't, whatever. August 6th, and again, you've received this from me, I just want to bring it up again. August 6th is Emerging Professionals Mentorship. And August 8th is Oakland's 16th Street Station A, a depot that fueled a population boom. Sounds really interesting to me, actually. Again, if anybody wants to attend any of these, all or any, please contact me ASAP. The end of the day, Friday would be great. Just check out the email that I already forwarded to you. The next thing is, I've been hearing from a couple of commissioners about packets getting to them later than they used to. That is not something that we have control over. We're sending them out at the same as we always have, no later. In fact, the last ones were sent out earlier, but there was a holiday in there. So I just want you to know it's the U.S. mail. If you don't have it when you want it, go online and get it. I know it wasn't online last time when you looked, Brian. However, go online or contact me. If you don't have a printer or you don't want to print it out and you want me to print it out for you, I will, and you can come and pick it up. Okay?
Mine was marked the 3rd, and I got to my house yesterday.
So,
And by the way, your phone message is still off, and Sarah was like, oh my gosh, I didn't fix that. So it still says that you can't be we can't connect with you
it's
by
not my
phone.
it's not my voice right now saying.
No.
Oh, okay. I'll
Oh,
check.
it's Sarah's voice.
Okay, yeah. I was.
She went, oops, I think I was supposed to fix that.
Okay, we'll get that fixed.
I
Thank you for
saved
telling me.
extra at the
So, I was abruptly
school district.
out of town for a week, and so, but I am back, and,
Nice.
but that leads me to the next. Please always put Sherry Herbruck on emails to me, all of you, all the time. And the reason for that is, if something happens, like last week, and I wasn't there, and the message wasn't changed right away, I did have Sherry put a message on there saying, to whatever, contact her. But, or for any reason, if anything happens, it's good to have somebody else that you can count. You can have two people counting on knowing what you want or what you have to say. So please, and also when I send out messages to you, I usually put Sherry on, if not always, and the reason for that is it's backup,
I think I stopped doing that because I think the gal got a little gun shy about hours, about don't bother the city, don't, it's like,
Oh,
Or
don't
the Brown
hesitate.
Act.
I don't want you to hesitate, quote unquote, bothering me or Sherry.
okay. Can I
See Sherry out there in land.
Can I add one thing about another event? The Los Angeles Historic Theater Foundation has a really fun things. It's called the Coffee and Connection, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and you're supposed to grab your cup of coffee, and they go on and they walk through historic theaters in downtown Los Angeles for an hour, and they go really deep on what you're seeing and why it's historic and everything, and it's a free event, so if anybody's interested, I can forward you the information. So it's just a fun community of people who love what we love. just
Would you
kind of
send that to
meeting, and
me?
it's more casual because it's, you know, it's supposed to be like coffee and Q&A, and I'll send it to you too.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
like
So presumably, because it's virtual, you could be in your pajamas too?
Exactly.
Sweet.
Okay.
Except they do like you on camera on this one because it's more social. So, you know, maybe pajama bottoms.
Clothes would be appreciated, Rick. Just in case you don't sleep in jammies.
So that's it for planning report.
Okay. For future agenda items, I talked to Richard Sennett. He is on board for coming on October 19th. We talked about him doing 2 discussions, whatever, at 10 o'clock and, or 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Ojai Day goes from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. according to the schedule I saw. So Richard from 11 to 3, he will bring his divining rods. I did remind him that we may have young kids and to be age appropriate, not to, you know, scare anybody. I said, you know, scaring is my thing in the jail for the slammer. Don't be upstaging me, but yeah, I mean, those of us that know him, Mara knows him. And Mara, you know, may tell us some more if we can get her to show up about divining rods. So, all I've done is hint so far, but I'll leave that to her. So Richard is going to bring his divining rods, and he loves to have real examples. So if you have, you know, questions, again, the divining rod, when we did it before, goes out for one answer and in for the other answer. And as I explained, my thumb and my finger were white because I was pressing on it so hard to make it not move. And it moved. And this was in the Acacia Mansion. You can imagine how fun that was. So anyway, so Richard's going to be there 11 and 3. Rick wants the early shift. That's all I know about Ojai Day. Commissioner comments. Oh, boy. Okay, commissioner comments. When might our elections take place? The fall would be a good bet
For what?
of 2024. So here's the memorandum. Okay, it went to, well, this says it went to the mayor and members of the city council, but Weston sent it to me. I think he was sending it to chairs. So the new way it's set up, and this came about because of some of the things that they decided. They put everything in order, and then they tried to do it, and they were selecting a new person for the planning commission because they have a vacancy. And there was some disagreement, and I'll leave it at that. And so they ended up rewriting the whole to-do that they spent 14 months on before. And so the new pattern, I should have taken a calming something. The new pattern is that they're going to do it commission by commission. So the planning commission will be first because, and I had already looked it up, if you look at planning commission, it is the first of the commissions that shows up in the code, the municipal code. And that makes sense. They meet twice a month. They're more impactful than us. And so they have a 4 people, so they have an empty slot. And then they, like us, have 3 commissioners that are up for renewal. Okay? So, and the catch in the new passing commissioners on is that they'll have the mayor, they'll have the chair, unless the chair's the one that's up, and then Gina will be stepping into that area, and then they'll have a rotating council person. And who knows what the rotating council person order is? Weston. Remember when we talked to him and he said, just hang on? Yeah. So I do know what the order is for the planning commissioner it will be Leslie, Rachel, Andy, and Souza for their 4 things. I have no idea what it's going to be for us. Now, if if an individual is supposed to, so the interviews will take place, not independently like I did with you and you. They will, all three of us will be in a room with the person that's being renewed, which that will be you, me, and Loran, because we all need to be renewed. You two are the lucky ones, okay? Now, then for us to be recommended to the city council, all three of the people interviewing us have to agree to put us going forward.
Well, they'd be crazy not to.
I agree, but there was a
Can't get
difference.
anybody.
There was a difference. Two people of those three put forth one person, and then another person didn't want those. So that's how it went downhill.
So it's political.
So that's what it is. So if somebody in there is their turn and doesn't want to do it, then they get pulled out of that whole stream, and a new person gets put in there, okay?
Okay,
Which is the reason why everything has to be sequential rather than being kind of a shotgun or parallel. You know, if this was a real business, you would never, oh, we need people, but we're only gonna do them one at a time.
but my question is you're still on the commission, the three of you. You still have full voting rights, you
That's
still,
Not full voting rights. So we are holding a spot, and until we are, and this happened before. It was a big time, when we were all trying to get, like Ryan Blatz was me, I was worried about that we're gonna run out of people before I got re-upped. So we cannot vote for a new chair and a new vice chair unless we're full commissioners.
Huh.
Right now, we're just commissioners holding our seats.
got it.
So until you're replaced on the commission, once your term is ended, you're still a commissioner.
Got
Okay.
it.
So that's basically what this document, you can see how it is. Marla looks like she's laughing over there behind her hand. She knows. So
This could be months from now?
So I talked to the two people that we have. I left them a voice message that said, I think that the safest case is that they will be seated on our commission in October.
Who are these people?
These are the two people, one of which put in their application in last year.
The two additional commissioners for your commission.
Yeah, our sixth and
So
seventh
we-
person.
We can't know who they are?
Oh, I don't know. You don't know who they are yet.
Well,
Um,
I know who they are because I'm talking to them, but,
Okay.
yeah.
So we don't
No,
have
I
a
don't know who
say.
they
So
are.
yeah.
We
Well,
don't have a
you-
say.
It's the mayor, the
The
chair
rotating council person.
and the rotating
chair.
council person.
Yes. I mean, could I, yeah, there's no really way other than to talk about it openly. And, you know, I
But-
don't know about talking about it openly.
At the
or-
commissioner dinner, Weston did say that we would go after planning, that planning is, well, it's the only commission has to be a commission, because it's to the state of California. So,
They have to
and
have
then,
certain
and that
residents, certain
we,
non-residents.
we're all ready to go, and he knows that. He knows that we have good candidates, he knows that we have 3 people that want to be reinstated, and that it should just be rubber stamps, but we have to wait for planning.
Yes, so he knows, and he apologized to me at the commissioner dinner that he tried to get us moved up because he knows we're ready to go. He knows I'm ready to go. The two of our council people, I don't know if they're gonna be our people because again, I don't know what it is for the next round. So I mentioned it to 2 of the council people at the thing. So one council member actually knows one of these individuals from Los Angeles. And the other person actually knows the person because of the children relationship. Okay, and we know one of these people. So I hate to be,
One thing that
but
Brian.
I'm trying not to.
One thing that Brian
the boat.
did tell me at the commission dinner is that they both have Mills Act properties,
Yes.
which is really nice because that gives that insight. It also gives property owners that, that they can talk to people who are on the commission that has that personal experience. I think that will be really helpful
Yes,
if that works out where they,
and they're not realtors.
That's good.
I tried. I thought it, okay, we've never had a realtor, let's go for it. But, you know, I understand why she had to leave.
Yeah,
But-
I do too.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where we are. That's what we're waiting for in our elections. That's when we become full members, the three of us. We're just holding our seats right now. And I think Gina will be interviewing me. So
That'll be.
how's that for fun, huh? So I'm being really nice to Gina. Okay, so that's all I have on commission reports. And that's where we are on that. Our ghost hunter is enthusiastic to be here, and do you know him at all? Do you know Richard Sennett?
We know him, he taught at the
Yeah,
Oh, that's right, that's right, so, yeah, he's just a really fun guy.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, and his wife does one thing, she may be the divining rod person, and his daughter does something else, and she may still be working at Parks and Rec. Super nice. So, anyway, that's all I got.
I don't have anything. Anybody?
No? Good night, thank you, everybody. Now, okay, what do you want to bet that the school district's still going? They started at 5:30. Okay, so,
Thank you, Sherry.
we done? Thank you, everyone.